As you know me, I like a weird color palette, and I almost went a different way. With it. This is what I love. You see how there's like a tiny little bit, maybe I should show the camera, there's a tiny little bit of yellow in here. This is why the arrangement works.
Yes.
So whenever, because this color is very different than this here, but this lily brings all of this together.
Right. And yet, they're on opposite sides.
Right.
And that's how I kind of work, I always work that way. Like
it's cookies.
When I do like arrangements, I'll kind of spread things out here and there, but you know, like I'll do like one like certain branch on this side, and then I'll counteract it with another color completely. I'll still have like the same kind of spread, but it won't be like, see, so you have like this color here and this color here together, but I won't bring these over here. That's how I design.
I think it's very like to me, whenever I look at your designs, it always reminds me of how if you stepped into a garden.
Yeah.
You brought it right through with the yellow on the other side. I love that. I think sometimes we think, when we hear balance and floral design, we think it has to be the same flower.
Right. I love the black. I love the dark though with that because it pops out. Yeah. Those colors are awesome. That's a total fall.
It's so pretty. I love that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if very many people would put those colors together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they are very different, but you're a color magician, so.
This is what I love about Nicolette's arrangement. I'm gonna show you, because I think a lot of the times we learn the color wheel, and then we think we need to stay with the color wheel, okay? You can stay with the color wheel, or you see how she has, so we have the yellows right here that all vibe out with this dark color. She has the dark dahlias and the dark lilies, which tie in all of this, okay? The yellow is tied in by the yellowing lily and these little dahlias here, okay? If you look really closely at the dahlias, in the middle is this rust color. So that's how you get a color combination to flow that would not normally go together, okay? You need to have just a tiny little thing that bridges all the colors together. And Nicolette absolutely achieved this with this design. So that's how you flow out colors. Yes, you need to know the color wheel, but you also learn the color wheel so you can break the color wheel.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my take on that. Yeah, I like to break the little rules.
But I think it's also like visual. Like for me, and I normally would not think to put this rust color with any of this, to be honest with
but
you.
if you take this,
but I wanted interest, and so because I had so much of the yellow and this rosy, whatever you call that, mauve color, I needed something to break it. Like I said, I always need rust, and so I feel like the rust gave it that rust that I'm looking for. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like I'm done with this, and Jenny, yours is absolutely gorgeous as well.
It's just a little urn. I love the moody container. Look at how pretty.
So pretty.
It really ties in the really dark dahlias, giving it just that dramatic effect.
Well, the interesting thing is these dahlias right here, I don't know if you can see those, but they're like that multicolored, and this girl's magical because a lot of people, you know, if you do too many things in an arrangement that have too much, what do you call it, two tones? It can get really busy and almost compete with each other, but you know how to work those in, because this one can be really hard to work with if you don't do it right, but for some reason.
And guess how many, I got a lot of two tones in here. 1, 2, I got more two tones.
You do.
Than I do.
But they're not, but this one's a dramatic two tone, whereas these Elmira and then the Royal Sunset have a little more, like they're a little less dramatic two tones, but you're right, we definitely have less two tones.
There's more two tones than there's regular, which I think some people would struggle with two tones. You don't have to, you just kind of flow it a little bit. I like to lay my flowers out. Nicolette said, do you always do that? And I was like, I think I kind of do. I don't know if I always do that, but I think I do. I like to see it visually what it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
So I think that if you're struggling with color combinations and you're maybe at like wherever you're buying your flowers from, if you can lay them on top of each other and kind of, you're gonna know what's gonna flow together and what's not. You're like, ooh, that doesn't, just remove it and kind of play with it. It's gonna teach you how to do colors that are a little bit different.
When you go to pick up flowers, because you do flowers weekly, right?
Yeah.
How do you decide what you're going to choose, or do you just like, oh, this looks pretty?
Sometimes I go to the grocery store and I'll just stand, if I'm at the grocery store instead of buying them at the market. Sometimes I go to the flower market. Sometimes I go to the grocery store. I will literally stand in the produce aisle and like just kind of like, what's popping today?
Okay.
And then I just kind of like look and I'm like, okay, what's weird? What's different? I'm always looking for the different thing. And then once I find that, then it kind of flows from there. You know. Yeah.
And you also pick things, I've noticed, that are like, again, not calming. Like you bring, you pick things also that are like you would say that this is probably calming out of this whole combination.
Because it's very busy in a lot of ways.
But you always have something in there that brings rest, or I don't know if that's the proper way of saying that.
Rest is a good way.
Yeah, it brings rest to you. So it's like, you know, I mean, flowers are just so amazing and beautiful, but we also need, if you look at nature, there's always things that are calming. And so I think flowers can be busy, but they can also bring calm. And to me, this brings my heart joy. I'm just saying, like, and it's busy, but I love it because there's surprises in it, but then there's also that calming, like, ooh, I look at all of it.
I like the calm. I've never thought about rest. So it's kind of
very important detail.
I don't know if I've ever looked at my designs, like where's the rest? That may be something I start adding, right? See, when
you already do naturally, I don't think you're aware of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But when you have awareness around something, then you can start even designing to a different level of like, ooh, okay, I've got these going on. What's going to be my rest in this design?
Right.
Then your brain starts working in another way. And I think with flower design, what we don't realize is when we decide to make this a career, like if you're like, I'm going to be a floral designer, people do not understand. Floral design, you will learn for the rest of your life. You will learn, doesn't matter how many years of experience you have in the field.
Right.
I've been a designer 23 years, and I still learn something different. Every single time I pick up my shears and I design, I learn something new. We're doing an event for somebody, I'm learning something new. It's never the same thing, and you have to learn in floral design. You're gonna go with the flow.
Yeah.
Like, it is natural in nature. And you've got to go with the flow.
Or once I kind of had the basics down, because you do have to have like the basics down when you're designing, but then once you kind of start trusting your inner and going with the flow and just kind of like, because this was total flow for me. This is not a normal combination I would make ever. But I mean,
like, and the flow turns out better.
Right, and I'm designing more like that lately, because it's just, for me, designing flowers is a therapeutic process. It's for me to, I'm such a busy person. It is my way to like decompress and to like just calm myself down. And so I allow myself to just go with it and just enjoy it, because flowers are just so healing and amazing and beautiful and have this energy in all of themselves. And so I just kind of pick up on that energy and just kind of, oh, where do you want to go? Where do you want to play? And so for me, it is absolutely therapeutic. It's in this, I've realized in my life, it's a necessity for me.
Same.
And that might be different for other people. You know, you may have people, there's artists out there, there's people that create in different ways. For Jenny and I, it is flowers, absolutely. I think we really realized that this year separately.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this many times, that flowers is our jam, it's our vibe, it's our, we can't do without it in our lives.
It's kind of like a language. You just like, some people speak, you know, different artistic languages, and for whatever reason, ours has always been flowers. Ever in your life, but like I just feel such a need to be you have a draw to flowers. You're supposed to design. Doesn't matter what capacity that is in.
And it doesn't have to be expensive or like, you know, you don't have to like get the most expensive flowers or anything. Literally grocery stores are everything's so convenient now. Like I said, we have a dahlia farm right down the road. There's, you know, summertime, there's flowers are very accessible. Your yard has things that you can make an all green arrangement. There's so many different things you can do to put an arrangement together, and you can do it in oasis, in vases, in, you know, the smallest little vase. If you have a small space, you don't need a lot of flowers like big like we are, the way that we design, but even the smallest amount of flowers for me in my space are important. And it's not just the having the flowers in my space, it's the making the flowers that go in my space. For me, it's the whole process. Even just processing flowers, like getting them out of the yard, clipping them, you know, putting them in water, just handling them to me is so.
It's the entire process.
Thank you for joining us. Again, this is what we love to do, and we love to share it with you. Please subscribe to my channel. I will also put down, and we'll have Jenny's information too. I'm sure that you'll probably put this video on your YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have all of our information down below. Jenny is amazing. Please follow her as well. Anyway, thanks for joining us. I hope you have an amazing day.